a radical ideology. We don't know if these Muslim shooters in California were radicalized or were they in contact with ISIS. People who make statements like this have clearly never read the Quran and the hadith. Farouk's brother-in-law could have said, you know, he's been reading al-Bukhari a lot lately, been reading Sahih Muslim, and come to think of it, he was reading The Reliance of the Traveler. There's a big section in the Sharia law about jihad, and he was reading those things lately. No. I have no idea what would motivate him to do this. And so we have deceitful Muslims, presidents, heads of state saying that ISIS, other Muslim terrorists, these two folks do not represent Islam. I'm going to read to you some Quranic verses and some hadith. Those are the words and deeds of Muhammad that are not in the Quran, all right? And this is the stuff that Islam is made of. You can choose for yourself. And by the way, I want to read to you a quote. Forgive me. I'm going to read to you a quote from ISIS. There are so many Muslims that are saying that Islam is a religion of peace and that Muslims are called to be at peace. And ISIS has been fairly aggressive in saying, no, Islam is not a religion of peace. So they released a lengthy article in their magazine, Dabiq. Of course, you probably know ISIS is hashtagging how wonderful this is, not taking responsibility, just saying 3 Muslim lines. So ISIS wrote an article about Islam and a rebuke to Muslims and to infidels like President Bush and President Obama who say that Islam is a religion of peace. Here's the opening paragraph. There is a slogan repeated continuously by apologetic Muslims when flirting with the West, and that is their statement. Islam is the religion of peace. And they mean pacifism by the word peace. They have repeated this slogan so much to the extent that some of them alleged that Islam calls to permanent peace with infidels. How far is their claim from the truth? For Allah has revealed Islam to be the religion of the sword. And the evidence for this is so profuse that only a heretic would argue otherwise. The evidence that Islam is the religion of the sword is so profuse in Islamic literature that only a heretic, a Muslim heretic, would argue otherwise. Let's look at some of the passages that ISIS is talking about and that these Muslim terrorists were reading. All right, this is from Sharia law, okay? Jihad is a communal obligation for every able-bodied man who has reached puberty. By the way, the Sharia law also states that women have an obligation for jihad as long as they believe that if they are captured, they will not be raped. If they fear that they're going to be raped when they're captured, then they should go ahead and ensure that they are killed, that they do not surrender. So women also are urged to participate in jihad. I continue with the next quote. If none of those concerned perform jihad, and it does not happen at all, then everyone who is aware that it is obligatory is guilty of sin if there was a possibility of having performed it. It's from The Reliance of the Traveler. This is Sharia law by Shafi'i. Guilty of sin for not having fought in jihad. Sharia law states the objectives of jihad. The Caliph, Muhammad's successor, makes war upon Jews, Christians, and Zoroastrians until they become Muslim or else pay the non-Muslim poll tax. The Caliph fights all other peoples until they become Muslims. And Muhammad's Quran teaches jihad, holy fighting in Allah's cause, is ordained for you Muslims, though you dislike it. And it may be that you dislike a thing which is good for you, and that you like a thing which is bad for you. Allah knows, but you do not know. That's the words of Muhammad, in the words of the Quran, dictated by Muhammad. Jihad, holy fighting in Allah's cause, is ordained for you Muslims, though you dislike it. And maybe you dislike a thing which is good for you. Jihad is good for you. Sharia law says that if you don't fight in jihad, it's a sin. Motive. I'm going to take a break. And when I come back, you're going to see that this is the tip of the iceberg. When you start to see the body of Islamic jurisprudence, thought, Quranic verses, hadith verses that call for what these two did, you need search no further for motive.